October, 2017. A strange object, shaped like a cigar, is flying past our planet, and every telescope on Earth misses it. It would have gone unnoticed, that mysterious thing, if an astronomer at the University of Hawaii didn't spot it 5 days after it had passed by Earth. The strange object was named Oumuamua, the first known interstellar object to visit the solar system, or so we thought. But more on that later. Since we detected Oumuamua late, astronomers had only 11 days to observe it, as it was cruising out incredibly fast. Yes, it displayed an incredible speed, and its orbit was strange. And what's bizarre, is that it appeared to have gotten a sudden boost of acceleration, as though something unobserved were pushing it, in addition to the influence of gravity. Two things in particular fixated scientists. The first was its mysterious acceleration away from the sun, which was hard to reconcile with many ideas about what it might have been made of. The second was its peculiar shape. By some estimates, it was 10 times as long as it was wide. Now, if you have been following our channel, you know how we have had a hard time classifying it as an asteroid, and then later a comet. Anyway, today we are not going to talk about its properties. Today, we are going to talk about where exactly is Oumuamua right now, and is it escaping our solar system like a fugitive on a run? And how astronomers are planning to go after it, and catch it in hot pursuit. And, is it really the first interstellar object to have entered our solar system? Or, are there several of them lurking in our star system, with one of them already here on Earth, hiding in plain sight? All this and more, in today's episode of Lab 360, it's time to explore. Since its discovery, Oumuamua has been a source of enigma and fascination for scientists, astronomers, and common people around the world. The elusive object made headlines as a suspected alien probe, an exploit from a different galaxy, or just a mere rock, triggering many theories and speculations. We haven't learned much about the interstellar object since its discovery in 2017, and one thing is for certain, it's traveling fast, blistering fast. In fact, when Oumuamua was closest to Earth, it was tumbling through the inner solar system at 196,000 miles per hour, according to NASA. Despite this, almost 5 years later, Oumuamua is just now leaving the outer solar system. It's currently cruising just past Pluto, covering a distance of over 2,832,000 miles, 4,557,662 kilometers, every 24 hours. It won't completely be out in interstellar space for another 2 years. The quick slingshot from Oumuamua around the Sun in 2017 made observing and classifying the object difficult. To this day, we've yet to classify Oumuamua officially. This is in part because we honestly have no idea. Only left to speculate, with little data, what the cosmic visitor was, as it gets further and further from view. But do astronomers have a plan to chase it down and apprehend it? Or should we just leave it alone? Time for a blast from the past. In April 2016, NASA's New Horizons spacecraft reached the Kuiper belt. After capturing its first target, Pluto, the probe turned its sight towards a large object on a strange trajectory. Yes, we are talking about 15810 Arawn, named after the Celtic god of death, war and the other world. Now, why is it so special, you ask? Well, most of the objects in the Kuiper belt are made of rock and ice. But Arawn doesn't move like any of catalogued object in the belt. This has made scientists question if it is made of something completely different, something much stronger, because it's rotating so fast that centrifugal force should have torn it apart. How could something spin so fast and stay intact? Scientists believe that the fast spin is creating artificial gravity, and gravity would be the most vital thing needed for long interstellar travel. You cannot have astronauts floating around the spacecraft while traversing hundreds of light years. This probed the New Horizon to take a closer look at the object. And here is when things turned strange. As the probe tried to get a closer look, suddenly, all of its sensors went dead, transmissions cut off. It was as if someone was monitoring our presence, someone or something that did not want us to know about them. But just before losing contact, NASA observed that Arawn was spinning like a large spaceship would. Now, you can say that it might have been a technical glitch, but here is when things get crazier. Only when New Horizon moved away from Arawn, it suddenly came back to life as if nothing had ever happened in the first place. Now I would leave it to you to assume what it was, but if it's an intelligent alien civilization, it makes complete sense to stay far away from Earth, and silently observe us, from the cold and dark space in the Kuiper belt. And whenever the need arises for a closer inspection, hop onto a spacecraft and camouflage it, so that it appears as a mere space rock to the beings of the planet. 15810 Arawn. A strange object. But why are we talking about it? What does it have to do with Oumuamua? You must have heard of Professor Avi Loeb, former chair of astronomy department at Harvard University. He suggests that not only are there aliens in our galaxy, but there are actually 4 quintillion alien craft speeding across our solar system. Well, Loeb isn't outright saying Oumuamua was an alien spacecraft per se, but he is saying we should be open to that possibility. In light of that outlook, he's basically asking what other scientists would never deign to. How many possible Oumuamuas could there be in our solar system that go unnoticed? Loeb and fellow Harvard astronomer Carson Ezell looked at how many interstellar visitors we've already spotted. One can use recent rates of detection of interstellar objects, and known capabilities, to estimate the density of similar objects in the solar neighborhood, the astronomers wrote in the study, as quoted by the Daily Beast. Since Oumuamua, there have been 3 more interstellar objects detected by astronomers, making it 4 in 8 years. At that rate, Loeb and Ezell calculated, there could be up to a staggering 40 decillion interstellar objects in the entire solar system, including areas beyond the reach of our instruments. That number is brought down to the more humble 4 quintillion figure, when limiting the scope to the habitable zone near the Sun, which is potentially exciting since, if some of them are aliens, they'd be easier to detect. Some of Loeb's theories are boundary pushing, but he never fails to raise some fascinating points. Even if the majority of 4 quintillion interstellar objects turn out to just be bits of space rock, which Loeb admits is likely, that still leaves quite a bit of room for some of them to be alien spacecraft. But where are they? One of them may be hiding in our waters. The year is 2014. A guest from beyond our solar system is earthbound, and we have absolutely no idea. Back on our planet, life is going on as usual when the meteor enters our atmosphere, ignites in a fireball in the skies and crashes into the ocean off the coast of Papua New Guinea. The object wasn't all that big, just a meter or so across, but its significance is massive. An interstellar material delivered to Earth, that hopefully now lies dormant in the depths of our waters. Now, the Earth receives up to 50 metric tons of meteors every day, and most of that burn up in the atmosphere, but the ones that don't burn up are no bigger than a pebble, and that's why pose no threat to life. Then what is so special about this one from 2014? You see, what is so notable about this meteor is the very high speed and unusual direction at which it encountered our planet. But if no one was tracking it, then how do we know it was coming at us in high speed? Sensors on a classified US government satellite designed to detect foreign missile launches were the sole known witnesses to the fireball. And when scientists calculated its trajectory and speed, they realized that it had come from interstellar space. Unusual high speed and direction of a space rock. Does it remind you of something else? If Oumuamua comes to your mind, then you are not alone. What is amazing here is that the information about the asteroid was not immediately made public by the government. It took 2 men, Avi Loeb and Amir Siraj, 3 years to have the government accept the origin of the interstellar object and make it public. The story starts in April 2019, when Avi Loeb was 8 months into the study of data of Oumuamua, which was then considered to be the first interstellar visitor to the solar system. Now here is an information that you would want to hold on to. Oumuamua was traveling through our solar system at a blistering speed of 87.3 kilometers per second. At Earth's distance from the Sun, any object moving faster than about 42 kilometers per second is in an unbounded hyperbolic orbit relative to our star, meaning that it is too speedy to be captured by the Sun's gravity. Anything traveling faster than this local celestial speed limit may come from, and if unobstructed, should return to interstellar space. Having studied Oumuamua, Loeb knew that there must be other interesting objects in NASA's Center for Near-Earth Object Studies catalog, and approached his student Amir Siraj with it. Within days, Siraj had identified the 2014 meteor as a potential interstellar meteor candidate, as the object had a speed closer to 60 kilometers per second before entering Earth. This was going to change everything. If the Center for Near-Earth Object Studies data, which composed of independently verified data from the scientific community, were correct, the meteor would dethrone Oumuamua to become the first interstellar object to visit our solar system. They submitted a paper on it to be peer-reviewed, but it was turned down, and the scientific community declined to formally designate C-NEOS 2014-0108 as an interstellar object. This was the case because the data used to calculate the meteor's impact on Earth was gathered by a U.S. Department of Defense satellite. And revealing the precise values of the measurement of the object became a closely guarded secret, because the U.S. military refused to disclose the capabilities of their satellite to the world. Dejected, Avi Loeb and Siraj moved on to other projects. However, the story doesn't end there. If anything, it has only begun, thanks to a partnership between the Department of Defense and NASA. 3 years later, in 2022, the data describing the event eventually were shared on a public database, along with data from more than 900 other fireballs recorded by U.S. government sensors between 1988 and the present day. The 2014 meteor is now officially the first known object originating from outside our solar system, and its fragments are buried deep inside our waters. Fascinating, isn't it? Well, that's what Professor Loeb thinks too. In fact, he believes that the object might be a piece of alien technology, and that's why he's planning an expedition to retrieve the object from the floor of the Pacific Ocean. Loeb said that the report released by the Department of Defense showed the light curve of the explosion of this object, which revealed that it had material strength tougher than iron, and it was tougher than all the other space rocks that the U.S. government identified over the past decade, about 272 of them. So it must have been something unusual, definitely not the same as the rocks we find in the solar system. Much tougher than that. While Loeb believes aliens exist, or have existed, somewhere in the universe, he doesn't think actual contact with biological creatures will happen. Instead, he argues UFOs, including objects like Oumuamua, are most likely alien probes powered by artificial intelligence, potentially even surviving relics of long-dead civilizations. It takes 100,000 years to reach the nearest star and many hundreds of millions of years to reach the edge of the Milky Way galaxy, so it makes much more sense to send systems with artificial intelligence that are not so sensitive to the hazardous conditions of space, he said. I call these AI astronauts, and most likely we will see gadgets that are very intelligent. They might be well ahead of what we have. It might take us a while to figure out what they really are doing here and what they're seeking, but at the same time we can distinguish them from rocks, natural objects like meteors falling on Earth. We can distinguish them from human-made objects. In his essay earlier this year, Loeb said a retrieval expedition could be achieved using scooping magnets to explore the 6 square miles region of the Pacific Ocean where the object is thought to have landed. My dream is to press some buttons on a functional piece of equipment that was manufactured outside of Earth, he wrote at the time. Loeb said he had received an email recently from someone begging him, please don't press a button if you find such a gadget. He basically was worried that it will affect all of humanity, Loeb said. I said, don't worry about it, I will not press any button. It would be just a remarkable discovery to figure out what we uncover, because it would represent modernity for us, even though it represents ancient history for the senders. We wish Loeb the very best. Retrieving a technology from another world will be the biggest discoverer of humanity, and it will open secrets of the universe like never before. But what about tracking the one that escaped in space? Since Oumuamua is out of range of existing telescopes, there is only one way to find. We go after it. A new research outlines a mission called Project Lyra to send a probe to see if Oumuamua is as extraordinary as it appears. Theories to explain the nature of Oumuamua have included a nitrogen iceberg, an alien solar sail, fragments of a tidally disrupted planet, and so on, reads the research paper. All explanations have one feature in common: they are extraordinary. The paper recommends a mission that launches in February 2028, spends 4 years getting gravity assists from Earth, twice, Venus, and Jupiter, finally reaching Oumuamua in 2050 to 2054. This isn't the first attempt to plot a course for Oumuamua, though most of the other attempts have resorted to using an orbit maneuver around the Sun. That tactic sees a spacecraft fall into a gravitational well and, as it's falling, use its engines to add more acceleration. Its disadvantage is that a massive shield would be required to protect a probe against the Sun. Instead, Project Lyra employs an orbit maneuver around Jupiter. The mission would much more resemble existing interplanetary missions, reads the paper. The drawback is that launch opportunities are very limited. The other option, of course, is to wait until another object like Oumuamua comes along and visit that one instead. After all, there could be 7 passing through our solar system each year. It could even be that most comets come from other star systems. It would not be wise to wait, according to the paper, because the second interstellar object ever found, 2I Borisov in 2019, resembles minor bodies already found in the solar system. This makes Oumuamua even more of an oddity, and it is unclear what the likelihood of encountering a similar object again is, reads the paper. Well, that's true, but shouldn't we instead wait for more of them to show up near Earth? That would be time-wise, and economically, feasible. And if none of them show up, then there was nothing special about the piece of rock, and we would save millions of dollars. But again, that's what I feel. What about you guys? Drop in your comments below. And don't forget to subscribe to Lab 360, because together, we will explore.